Alright, next up is I Love You Man, the new comedy starring Paul Rudd and Jason Segal, who are in the funniest film of 2008 together, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. They only had a few scenes together in that film, but they were so funny it made me crave a whole movie with these two, and I was not disappointed. Last week I talked a lot about Paul Rudd and how he reminds me of Bill Murray in his where he has this art of underselling the comedic situations and that his characters try so hard to be clever, and it's what makes them so fun, even though he's underselling everything that's going on, kind of. And I've lauded his supporting work in films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up, and felt he's overlooked, like most comedic performances, come Oscar time. I really think he is that good. And he was also really good in Role Models fall. This past fall, sorry. His first real starring role in a blockbuster comedy. And while Siegel, who for years has been playing the straight man, no pun intended to Neil Patrick Harris, on the hit sitcom How I Met Your Mother, really stretched his comedic muscles in the last couple years or so, with a small but very funny supporting role in Knocked Up, and really hit it home in his starring turn in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and really shows the world yet again how funny he can truly be in what's definitely a different type of role for him. Now, this movie is about an uptight realtor named Pete who wouldn't know cool if he was trapped in a meat plant for 30 years. And he's about to marry Zoe, played in a surprisingly funny role by Rashida Jones, but he realizes he has no male friends to be his best man. So his gay brother, in another very funny role from Andy Samberg, tells his brother to go on a series of mandates or hangouts or whatever to find a new friend. And he comes across fun, energetic, outgoing, crass, and sometimes obnoxious Sidney Fife, played by Seagal. We get the feeling right away this was someone Pete has needed his whole life. Despite Sidney's flaws, there is a likability about him, which most films who make this type of character, as they would just paint him as some crude toilet humor, one joke, one dimension, guy we've seen a million times over. And as we see their odd yet funny and real friendship grow, we get a great chemistry between the two stars, and Rudd is just howlingly funny as someone who's so awkward in his situations that it almost makes us feel uneasy, as if we don't want to look, but we do, and we laugh out loud in the process. And I should mention, of course, the guy who directed this also directed Meet the Parents, one of the most awkward comedies of all time. Now, I also have to point out that Judd Apatow did not have anything to do with the making of this film at all. However, his influence is apparent. Example being that the Rudd character in most other films would be an unentertaining version of Chandler Bing from Friends. But instead, I could see this type of guy existing, whereas Seagal's character of Sidney is someone who can be a little hard to take, as we see with the character of Zoe, who's not overly fond of him. But we figure out Sidney is someone who has the same thoughts and feelings as anyone else. He's not just some idiot there to be obnoxious, and we learn over the course of the film about that, not in just one contrived scene, that he is human and real. And the biggest surprise was Jones. I think she is very funny in a natural way here, and not there for the sake of the film, needing her to be in the background. She's there because she needs to be a part of the film. She is a very important part of the film. And another Avatar trait is getting everything from the supporting crew that we can possibly get. Hilarious supporting roles, as I mentioned, from Sandberg. Also J.K. Simmons, Jane Curtin, Jon Favreau, Jamie Presley, and even Lou Ferrigno as himself are all given the most with their scenes and are just so good. They are actually so good. I want to see more of them. I'd like to see movies about some of these characters. That is how good they are. The film just does everything right, and the dialogue is so fun, witty, and it goes with the substantial worth of the film. And every comedy obviously needs to do something like that, like most Apatow films do. I have to think Rudd is now truly one of the funniest and most talented comedic actors in Hollywood, and he's almost ranking up there now, I think, with Seth Rogen in terms of a great comedic leading man. And I think Siegel, in a while from now, won't be too far behind. The proper execution with the concept of this film is something that reminds me of the films like the Farrelly brothers did with Dumb and Dumber. There's something about Mary or Kingpin, taking these ridiculous sounding concepts and making them work with heart and soul. You can all have Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn. Give me Rudd and Siegel any day. You know what I'd like to see next is a film with Paul Rudd and James Franco. I think that would be something else. And I also gotta say, I laughed so hard. Bottom line, this fires on all the right cylinders. I give it a very enthusiastic 4 stars out of 5.